Hi, I'm Tina Litster at Circe Creek Boutique. Our mission is to empower you to courageously create. We created these kits for you to eliminate the guesswork and to give you the tools, the knowledge, and the courage to create your own work of art. Hi, today we're going to make this really nice wreath with glittery apples and white berries and holly, pine cones, ribbon. So let's get started. The first thing that we're going to do, you're building it on a grapevine wreath, and we're going to put this pine garland around it. It goes all the way around, and if your wreath is misshapen at all, just make sure that your pine garland goes in a nice round circle to compensate for any misshape of the wreath. So we're just putting it around there. Yours may come, if you bought my wreath kit, yours may come in two pieces because of the end of the garland or whatever. If you didn't buy my wreath kit, you need about 48 inches of garland. So the first thing you do is to fluff the garland out so that all of the branches are sticking out nicely so that they're not all crammed up against each other. This doesn't take very much time, but it's really important. Okay, so now we put this over the grapevine wreath base. And instead of gluing it in, what we do is we just tuck some of the stems into the twigs of the wreath, and then you twist it over like that, and that secures it. You do that in about 5 or 6 places throughout the wreath. You can choose the places where the wreath has big sticks or sticks poking out, because that makes it easier to manage. Okay, now you just want to make sure that all of the branches of the pine garland are kind of pointing the same direction. I'm going clockwise with mine. You can go counterclockwise, but they need to go the same direction because that is how pine branches grow. They don't grow all squiggly wiggly in every other direction. So just kind of point them all so that they're all pointing either clockwise or counterclockwise. Okay, so the next thing that we put on are these white pine boughs, and you should have 6 or 7 of these. If you purchase them yourself, you need to make sure you have 6 or 7, and these just kind of get alternated around your wreath so that some point toward the inside, some point toward the outside. So it's very natural looking. So you want them in regular intervals, but you don't want them to be, you don't need to measure, you just need to make sure that you have them spaced evenly but not rigidly. Now I like their placement, so now I'm going to glue them all in place. To glue these in place, these branches I would choose to just retract a tiny bit and then pool a bit of glue around the base of the stem and then insert it back in where you had it to secure it. Okay, now that those are secured, we put the white berries on next. The white berries, some of them come with long, nice picks, and some of them have been clipped off the branches so they don't have a pick at the end. They will just be glued right onto the pine boughs, or the pine garland. So, again, just alternate these. The great thing about doing an all-over wreath is that as long as you make sure that your spaces are evenly covered, you don't have to fiddle with exact placement. You just make sure that it's generally covered. And again, you want it to be even but not exact. Tuck the berries in behind things, and then let them be natural so that they're not all just laying right on top, but they are underneath some things and above some things. Nature grows in a way that there's variation in how things show, and you want to mirror how nature grows as much as you can in your wreath making. I want to put this one down here instead. Okay, I like that. So again, when you glue these in, you can retract them and pool some glue down at the base and then push them in all the way. Or in the cases where you don't have a stem, just pool some glue down around the base and push it on and then hold it in place, or you can even twist some of these garlands around it to secure it really well. Whichever works for you and whichever works for the piece that you're working on is fine. Now that we have the berries and all of the pine on, the next thing we do is that we twist the ribbon around. Now you have two lengths of ribbon. One is longer than the other. So take them both, measure them against each other, and take the longer ribbon. Now if you purchased your own, you're going to need, let's see, about 2.5 yards for the first ribbon where you wrap it around the wreath. Find the end of the ribbon by matching up the ends and then just holding it to the end, and you find the middle. Now put the middle at the bottom of the wreath by your stomach and just wrap it around, and then you'll wrap one end at a time. You get about 5 wraps out of this. And you want it to wrap securely, but you don't want to smash anything down. So you get 5 wraps and then the one that you tie with. So when you get one side wrapped, then you go to the other side and wrap it around. And then up here at the top, you tie these ends together, just in a granny knot or a square knot, whatever kind of knot you can tie, just to secure them nice and well. You don't have very much end to work with, but that's okay because you don't need any, and this will be covered up by the loop at the top, so it doesn't matter that, how long it is. So now adjust these so that they wind around the wreath the way you like them. I like mine to be more perpendicular to the wreath than slanted. They're going to be slanted, but I don't like a severe slant in mine. But if you like a severe slant, that's fine. Okay, now pull some of the elements out so that the wreath isn't pulling all of them under, but leave some of them under because you want the red, the pretty red ribbon to really show. But you don't want it to be unnaturally, you know, binding everything down. So pull some out so that it looks natural. There we go. The next thing we put on are the holly picks. So we will place these. You have 5 holly picks. So you just basically place one in each section. Find an open spot that needs an accent and push them in. And make sure you vary the placement. See, I placed this one on the outside of the wreath. This one is going in the center. I'm going to put this one on the outside or front. And then this one, and I want this one to be right toward the center of the wreath so that you don't have them all on the outside or the inside or front, but that they vary. I like those. Now, the fuller a wreath gets, the harder it is to just retract something and push it back in. So this time I will pull these out, get some glue on the end of the stem right there, and then push them back in where I want them. Now you notice I'm building the wreath in a clockwise direction. So whichever direction you chose for your pine garland to point is the direction that everything else points. You notice that the white pine points clockwise, the berries point clockwise, everything is going clockwise. Now the next thing are the glitter apples. You have 6 of these, and so place them again around the wreath wherever you'd like them, alternating between the inside, outside, and front of the wreath. Because the thing that you don't want is for it to look too rigid. Okay, I like that. Again, pull the stems out, put some glue on them, push them back in to make sure that they make good contact with the twigs of the wreath. If it took you too long to push it back in, you're going to need to re-glue it. Okay. The very last element that we put on are the pine cones. The pine cones each have a wire on them, and these are not really stiff wires because they don't need to be, and stiff wires can be hard to work with. So now place the pine cones again just wherever you would like some more accent, and alternating between the inside and outside of the wreath. Okay, I like that. So now when you like where the pine cones are, you take the wires and you pull back whatever element is there, and you wrap the wire around the twigs of the grapevine wreath, then twist the wire together And with your wire cutters, clip off the ends. I gave you plenty of wire on these. Clip off the ends and then tuck that little piece of wire down in. Now tuck the branches around it so that it's very natural looking. You can't get to the twigs of the wreath because of all the other stuff in the way. Wrap it around the pine garland. That will secure it fine. That's beautiful, and it's all secure. The last thing that we do is attach the hanging loop. We don't put a hanging wire on this one unless you want to, but we put a loop on this one. So I want my loop to be up at the top, right up here. Actually, no, my tie is right here, so I'm going to put the loop right at the top, right there. And I'm going to move these berries to right here because I don't want them to interfere with the loop. Okay, so with the other strand of ribbon, you find the halfway point again by matching up the cut ends, and then you pull it so you've got that there, and then you loop this around the top of the wreath, just one side under and one side over the wreath, like that. Now, if you have a door hanger, I'll show you how to use a door hanger with it in just a minute. But if you don't have a door hanger and you just want to hang this on a hook or a screw or a nail, then this is the really easy part. So bring this down. I'm going to move this way over here so that you can see what I'm doing. Match up the ends right there so that they're even. Pull it up. And about 8 inches, my hand is 8 inches from fingertip to fingertip. I have very small hands. 8 inches above that, do an overhand knot. To do an overhand knot, you just bring both loops together and just, it's just a simple one loop knot. And then you just tighten it like that. Then you make a bow at the top. And you may like a bow with big floppy loops, or you may like a bow with long tails, but make a bow. Tighten it, and then to hang it, you will actually pull this loop up a little bit so that the bow hangs down, and you hang it from this part right here, however far up you'd like it to be. So that's how you do it if you're hanging it from a screw or a nail, right there. Now I'm going to untie this and show you how to do it if you're going to do an over-the-door hanger, a metal hanger. Many of us use those now because we don't like to have screws in our door. So you still have the loop right around there, but you take your door hanger, and this is where you will use your zip tie that I included with the kit. If you didn't buy a kit, make sure you have a zip tie if you're going to do that. Now hook your loop around your wreath right where the loop of ribbon goes. And bring the ribbon up around it, and again match up the ends so that they're even at the top. ease it around so that it's even. And then about 2 inches from the top of the hanger, you hold the ribbon, bring the back around to the front, so you have both pieces of ribbon right around the front there. Then take your zip tie. Now a zip tie has a bump on one end and a smooth part on the other end. The smooth part goes toward the inside of the loop, and that's where you insert the end of the tie into the smooth part. So the bump and the end of the tie are both extending out the back. Tighten it a little bit, but not too much yet. And then just make sure that this is all adjusted so that it fits together really nicely. And that your ends are even still. Pull it, make sure that it fits nice, and then when it does, tighten the zip tie super tight right across the front. Then clip off the zip tie right close to the little square thing. You don't need to have hardly any hanging out. Okay, now all you do from here is tie a nice bow again. Whatever kind of bow you'd like. Arrange the ribbons and the loops however you'd like them. And then you rearrange this a bit, and you have it hooked to the top of your door hanger. So the very last thing that we need to do is to make sure that everything is fluffed out. Things really get smashed in quite often when you're creating a wreath because of all the elements you put over things. So just make sure that things are fluffed out and placed, arranged in the places that you want them so that they appear to their best advantage. And if you need to tuck something underneath something else, like this one, it's kind of unruly. It keeps wanting to go up there. So I'm just going to hook it around a pine bough and bend the pine bough so that it holds it in place. The nice thing about wired things is that you can just bend them to where you want them, and it holds them in place. I'm going to tuck this berry underneath. Okay, I love it. I hope you enjoyed making that. I hope you join me again for making more wreaths, and Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays, whatever you prefer. I hope you enjoyed making this wreath with me. Remember to like the video and subscribe to my channel below. And for more creative surprises, visit my website and my Etsy shop at the addresses shown. See you next time.